Welcome to the Let's Talk Wrestling Podcast.
What a humdinger of a show!
Jumpy, beep, beep!
Booty-O's! They make sure you ain't booty!
I got the gift of gab and the gift of jab, and I'll put that lazy eye right back to work.
I'm not a bad guy. I'm not a good guy. I'm the guy.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Let's Talk Wrestling Podcast. The wrestling podcast reviews SmackDown and give you all the reasons why Raw isn't doing very good at the moment. My name, of course, the writer of said article that we're going to be talking about this week is Turbo Tony. No big theatrics this week. I don't deserve it. I don't, because I haven't slogged through all the shit to be able to call myself that this week. So there is that.
Pussied out of Raw.
I did. I tell you what, Matt, I don't even care. I feel fantastic. I also do this podcast with a friend of mine, and there's actually a song that's been written about my co-host. I'm going to sing a little bit of it for you here. Even though it wasn't him in the shower, it wasn't him. Even though we saw him banging on the sofa.
Okay, right. I was like, what the fuck? It's like, what are you doing?
Shaggy. Yeah. Shaggy Marsander. That's your name now. Yeah. Dropping those Jamaican beats, man.
I know I've let my hair grow a little bit, but gee.
You love dem rhythms. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. How you doing, Matt, anyway?
Not too bad. Wondering what the hell's happened to you.
I don't know, man. I've got no fucking clue. As that ship has sailed long ago.
One of those days.
Yeah. I've had a great week. That's what it was. And the reason being, I didn't watch 3 hours of Raw. I feel fantastic. I feel on top of the fucking world. I really do. It's awesome. We've got a few plugs to get through. We'll talk the unique play out of this episode, because it's not going to be a lot like our other episodes. But of course, let's do our plugs first. So if you do want to interact with us, the main way of doing so is our Facebook page, facebook.com/Let's Talk Wrestling Podcast. You can also send us any tweets. Now, this particular Twitter handle is famous because basically, back in the day, JFK obviously was assassinated, and a lot of people believe that a lot of the plans were made through this particular Twitter handle, even though Twitter wasn't invented back then. That's how awesome it is. And that Twitter handle is
@TalkWrestlePod.
Matt, you know way too much, and you're not letting on. You know something about that. I know you do.
I know nothing.
Yeah. Anyway, and if you want to send us any evidence towards that sort of thing, you can send it to the Let's Talk Wrestling Podcast @gmail.com. And if you like, you can send those pesky little private messages and audio questions as well to that particular address. From that, let's go through the show. So we've got some news to go through here today, some interesting news, some fan feedback. Then we have the 10 ways that Raw can change right now to improve the show. And that's the article, including one extra honorable mention about how I would book Seth Rollins as of now. And it's quite fun. I actually had a lot of fun writing that. And then, Matt, we've got your SmackDown review. Being the fact is that I have watched SmackDown this week myself. So we can do a dual review. I can offer a little bit more insight, Matt. You sold it to me so well the last couple of weeks, I just had to. Even though I didn't have to watch any wrestling, I was like, I'll go watch some SmackDown. And I was very pleased to have done so. However, Matt, before we get there, we've got procrastination to get through. Mainstay of the channel. We have to talk about a bit of procrastination. I feel there's no other place to start, Matt, apart from Kim Kardashian getting robbed in Paris.
No, give a fuck.
Oh, but Matt, I've got a theory about this. Now, obviously you don't care much about the Kardashians, and I don't.
Give a fuck.
Matt, here's a theory though for you. I don't think this is legit, and the reason being is that whenever the Kardashians aren't in the news for a while, something always happens to get them back in the news. Whether it be Bruce Jenner having a sex change, whether it be Kanye declaring that he's $50 million in debt. Whether it be another child, right, coming out, whether it be a nude shoot that breaks the internet. There's always something, Matt. And people haven't been talking about the Kardashians for a while, Now, obviously, this is just a theory. I'm not saying that I know this for sure, of course, but let's just say, considering all the publicity stunts and stuff done by this family beforehand, would it really shock you to think that maybe this is not all entirely on the level?
I couldn't give a fuck.
You just don't care, and
I genuinely don't care. I think the only thing that is the greatest loss in that is that somebody didn't just point blank shoot her in the face. Like, you could have, and nobody, like, the world would have been a better place for it.
Oh, wow, man, that's going a little bit far.
Give me one viable reason why the Kardashians should exist.
Well, everyone has the right to live, but yeah.
I don't care. I don't understand what world some people live in to go, hey, I'm checked into this hotel in Paris and I've got $8 million worth of jewelry with me, like whether it's a work or whether it was a shoot.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, what sort of fucking world do some people live in?
Yeah. And, it's just that these things, in fact, I actually saw, now I don't want to be as cynical and say this, well, people are talking about this and not talking about other stuff, but it does, I saw a video about the 3 things that happened in the world that got no, mainstream coverage, but this happens, and then something.
Honeybees got stuck on the extinction list. Not the
honeybees? What?
Like on the endangered list.
That's scary right there. And I'm afraid of wasps, but bees I have all day for, Does that mean we're not going to be able to have honey at a certain point or something like that?
Well, they don't just do honey.
What else do they do?
Like the sheer fermentation of everything.
This is, Matt, you've genuinely shocked my my core here. This is worrying me. I tell you what else was worrying me, Matt. I watched something else which was a little bit more disturbing. I don't know if you've seen it, but it aired, I think this week or late last week, the Louis Theroux Jimmy Savile documentary.
Mm-hmm.
Have you watched it?
I haven't. I thought the most recent one he did was Scientology.
No, he's done a new one, and it's because you remember, back in I think it was 2000, he did a documentary with Jimmy Savile, and it wasn't groundbreaking or anything like that. Nothing really came out about it. This is his retrospective documentary where he's looking back on it and wondering how he didn't realize that he was this massive serial rapist and molester and pedophile and all this shit. It's a heavy ass watch. I watched it yesterday morning at 9:00, and it basically made the rest of my day just being super reflective, looking at everyone you could be a rapist. I don't know. You could be. I don't know, Matt. I don't know, but that's the way it is. But I do recommend it if you've got an hour and a half, but it's heavy, Matt. There was times I couldn't watch the screen, that sort of thing.
Fair enough.
Because the brevity and the nature and, the eyewitness accounts, they don't exactly push around the things that happened. It's very direct. They tell you exactly what happened to them. And they don't hold back, and it's hard, but that's the way it is. So yeah, I've been watching that. Another thing we have to put in procrastination, Matt. The Alter Bridge album was released. I think it's today was the release date.
Yeah.
Which is
my pre-order should be downstairs. I haven't actually looked at it.
Yeah,
I didn't have time.
You guys may know Alter Bridge if you're wrestling fans as being the guys who did Edge's entrance music, and they showed up on Raw once, doing I think that was even on their first album, so it's over 10 years ago now. That's crazy.
Yeah, they were doing an acoustic thing backstage or something.
Yeah, myself and Matt, guys, we are stupidly obsessed with Alter Bridge. We fucking love that band. Easy to say, Matt, they are our favorite band.
Easy.
Yeah. I've got a blackbird from one of their albums tattooed on my back. Matt was gracious enough to buy himself and me the Alter Bridge 10-year anniversary box set, which unfortunately took 2 extra years to actually get to us. But less said about that, the better. But we are fucking batshit crazy fans. So I've been listening to that shit just non-stop. Just sexy, Matt. Sexy.
Damn good.
That's it. So if you guys are fans of rock music, you got to check it out. I heard the album and it's fantastic, as everything that Alter Bridge does. Obviously, I'm biased because I like the band, but
I still don't know where I'll rank it amongst the rest.
No, it's too early to. You know, Matt, we're one of those people that will listen to the album for a year and then we'll come to a decision. Like, it has to take like a good 12 months, you know, to sit on an album. But great stuff there. So that's our recommendation of the week, anyway. All right, then, Matt. So we've done enough procrastination. Let's talk a little bit about the wrestling news this week. So first spot. Oh, sorry, Matt. I forgot to ask you. Do you have any procrastination at all?
I don't, because you brought up the album.
Oh, you're planning on bringing that up, you know?
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, so let's get into the wrestling news. So we got to talk a little bit about the aftermath of our episode last week. We actually got like 2 dislikes on our, you know, because we're quite a small channel. We don't often get dislikes at all. Whenever we talk about TNA, we expect that shit. So let's just do a little bit of, because, you know, our views are very strong on TNA, and TNA fans are just not going to like it. And
if people aren't going to like that fucking broken entrance was weak.
We can talk a bit about TNA just to follow up on it. So they did have Bound for Glory. They did have the show. And the news is that apparently, as far as we know, WWE is still apparently buying TNA's tape library. Apparently that still is happening. And Dixie Carter is selling. She basically got a double payday. She got money from WWE for the tape library and money from Billy Corgan and whoever else is buying in to buy a share of the company. And they're doing their TV tapings. Although one of them was stopped because of weather issues. So when it rains, it pours literally for TNA on that front, you know. But as you say there, Matt, I saw a couple of clips from Bound for Glory. Some of the matches look pretty decent. I've never said that the actual in-ring quality of TNA has been bad. I just, the way the company's run, and I don't agree with the way they book some of their people. But yeah, a lot of fans, we're not haters of like the Broken Matt. In fact, I quite like the Broken Matt stuff. I think it's reinvigorated his career. But a lot of people are like, I got messages saying, oh, you know, you need to check out this broken entrance, you know, or, you know, the broken entrance between them. It's amazing. I got to admit, like you, Matt, I watched it and I was like, that's a little bit underwhelming right there. I thought it would be a lot more special, but it really didn't end up being anything. You know, for all the fanfare, Matt, I mean, all you have to do is go to any of the meme pages and they're fucking raving about this shit. They're going, oh, God, look at this. Oh, yeah. And I'm like, I don't see it, personally.
It's above average.
Yeah. For TNA's WrestleMania, shall we say. But
I don't know what. I suppose like since they went back to the 6-sided ring, I spoke to you about this during the week. I think the 6-sided ring's got smaller.
It feels that way, doesn't it? Maybe we just haven't seen it.
Especially with like Matt and Jeff in it. And I was like, there's room for another 2 guys?
It just doesn't seem to be able to work, yeah. Maybe they make the ring smaller because they're trying to make the arena seem bigger or something. You know, like,
I reckon it's just reflect their budget.
Yeah, most likely. Bring on those dislikes, guys. Come on. You disliked us last week. You can do it again. We get way more likes anyway. We don't care. Don't throw my weight around, Matt. You know, now we've got an established fan base. I'm like, come at me, guys. You know, and that's the way it is. But yeah, I do wish the best for TNA, and only because I want the wrestlers to still get their paychecks, and I don't ever think there'll be competition. I think that ship has sailed and it'll never be that way, but that's the way it is. And I have no intention of going and watching TNA on a weekly basis. Nope. Okay, let's talk about the bigger news story this week. So the news came around very quickly from sources that you would deem very reliable, Matt. The source that I took as most reliable is Jim Ross coming out and saying that this looks like it's a lock, and his sources that he would always trust have come across and said this. But it looks like, Matt, that Lesnar versus Goldberg is a lock for Survivor Series. So that was the big news story this week. This all came around very quickly, and obviously I reckon this is completely legit. I honestly do believe that we're going to get Lesnar and Goldberg. The reason being is that all the build-up to the video game has been surrounding them, and then WWE's been promoting it like fuck on their Facebook page. Go on their Facebook page, and it's everywhere.
Not even just on that, it's even on just the TV product. Like, I still can't get my head around like why everyone wants it again so badly.
Considering how bad Mania 20 was, yeah. I don't think it. I think maybe This is a high-profile match, though, and hopefully the fans won't shit on it. I don't know. Fans could be quite petty, and sometimes they're just because WrestleMania 20 was a bore, they'll take it out on this match, which is, 13 years later? It makes no sense. But and the reasoning behind this, Matt, is to promote the video game. Right, the video game is coming out, or it has come out. I'm not sure, but it's close around about that time. The marketing is kicked into another gear now. They're really building up to this video game, and that video game makes a lot of money for WWE and for their talent, because their talent gets a paycheck for appearing in the video game. So it's a big source of revenue for everyone involved. And, it'll do good business for WWE. I mean, if they make Lesnar and Goldberg the main event of Survivor Series, that makes Survivor Series a must-watch show. I mean,
essentially.
A lot of people are going to want to watch it, just for the...
Especially considering, a lot of people, the last we had heard, not until, obviously, Goldberg ended up on the video game, but a lot of people were under the impression that it's Goldberg's done. That's the end of that.
It was his last match. I know he wrestled in a little bit of Japan after he left WWE, but WWE was 2003.
Yeah, Goldberg.
He hasn't wrestled for a long while. Now, he does look in good shape, but this is still a long, long time. And he's going against Brock Lesnar. I mean, they've got to do some selling.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays, you say Goldberg's in good shape. He's not in his shape of then. He's in striker's shape, because you hear about he's doing all of his Muay Thai and things like that.
Yeah, he's not the physically. I mean, in accordance to regular people, he's a physically imposing guy, but he isn't that muscle bound, the traps all the way up to his ears sort of thing. He doesn't. You look at Brock Lesnar, who's been billed as this unstoppable killing machine, who fucking elbowed Randy Orton so hard that he hit his skull. You can hear the fucking sound of it, and he bled in a puddle, right? And you're looking at Goldberg coming in. We haven't seen him go. It's just they're going to have to really sell this, that Goldberg's still going to be a threat after all this time. And it's possible. I mean, Goldberg is all intensity, so that can mask, a lot of the deficiencies in their build, and just the fact that Lesnar's been active and on a tear and Goldberg's been nowhere. Some are arguing, though, however, that this should be a match for WrestleMania. Now, unless...
I'm kind of inclined to agree.
Yeah, here's my thinking, though. I'm going to defend it, because a lot of people are going, it should be at Mania, because it's a big match. I want to look at the other side, Matt, and the other way that I think of it is either they've got a bigger match for Lesnar at Mania already penciled in.
True.
Which may be, let's say, The Rock, which I don't think he'll do, but maybe, they have an idea of what they want to do with Lesnar. And maybe they're looking at this, obviously, to promote the video game, which is a big revenue stream, blah, blah, whatever, so that's okay. But maybe it's them trying to double down and make all of their brands' shared events something really
as big as possible.
Yeah. Treat them all as almost not like WrestleMania, because WrestleMania you really want to stack that card from top to bottom and get that
a Micromania.
Yeah, because Survivor Series has just been bland the last few years. Let's be honest. The only time it generated major interest, I think, was when it had the Survivor Series match with the Authority involved, and that was Sting's debut. And maybe a few years before they had The Rock in his first match back in ages in that tag team match. But yeah, it's I'm okay with that, personally. I'm okay if they want to try and make these brand shed events something more special and get real big marquee matches, that people really want to see. As long, Matt, as they've got something planned for Mania. If they go to Mania and it's like Lesnar against Roman Reigns again for whatever reason, then that just doesn't work. Then you should have waited for WrestleMania. But at the end of the day, Matt, if they go at WrestleMania and say, okay, we got a Goldberg for another match, he's going to go against Triple H, and even though I think that's not the case, but I'm just giving it as rhetorical. And they've got Lesnar against The Rock. That's two big marquee matches for Mania, and you think, okay, fair enough, so they can do Lesnar and Goldberg at a different time. But yeah, it certainly looks like it's going to go down. I'm excited. Matt, we're big fans of Goldberg, right? We love Goldberg. And, you know, we said before with him doing the video game, was that a precursor to his return? It certainly seems that whoever is that pre-order bonus on the video game, they're coming back, right? That's the beginning. You know, it happened with Sting. Ultimate Warrior, he came in the video game and he got his induction. It looks like it's going to happen with Goldberg, right? Initially, Lesnar, right? He was a pre-order bonus in a video game ages ago before he made his return to WWE, and then he made his return to WWE. So,
however, last year we didn't get Arnie.
No, we didn't, and maybe that's for the best, considering you know.
But it's Arnie.
Yeah. You know, do you actually watch the new Terminator movie? Just going away from that.
Which one? The one with
Emilia Clarke.
I was about to just say Daenerys because I cashed out. No. Well, I have. I get an impression I don't want to.
It's all right. It's not special. It's all right. Emilia Clarke is just fine as all hell, though. So it's worth watching just for her. So there we are.
Simple enough.
Anything? Just adding that in there, Matt. Just, you know, as I do.
Throwing it in there.
Lesnar versus Goldberg. Excited for it. Anything else you want to add to that, Matt, about Lesnar and Goldberg?
No.
Be interesting, though.
It definitely will be.
All right, some very happy news. Love is in the air, Matt, and babies are getting made. And Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella are expecting their first child, which is great news. They obviously saved this announcement for the Total Bellas premiere and all this sort of stuff. But great news for these guys. I mean, apparently that was the main reason why Brie Bella retired, was to go and start a family. Yeah. And fair play to him on that front. You get the feeling, Matt, that these two are probably just meant to be, right? They seem almost perfect for each other in that sense. So very happy for them. They're not the only couple to get to announce their upcoming child, right? On that front, because Sarah Lee did the same. Unfortunately, that wasn't the only piece of news this week. She also got released. So, Sarah Lee, she's in a relationship with Blake from NXT.
Yeah, that's what I gathered.
Yeah. Now, apparently, her being pregnant did not lead to her release. It was just her, you know, WWE cutting their losses with her. And I completely agree. Matt, we said before that it never looked like it was going to happen.
Yeah. Well, considering Amanda's had more TV time.
Yeah. It was just
that was the prime. That right there was a prime example of, hey, we really want you to vote for this person. Wait, why are you voting for this person? No. No. Oh well.
Yeah. Maybe her most famous moment was the reaction to being called a ring rat on Tough Enough is probably her most memorable moment in the world of pro wrestling, but which maybe isn't the best thing, but she did win Tough Enough. But it just carries on the tradition, Matt, of...
And it was just like she took offense to being referred to as a ring rat, and now she's in a relationship with one of the NXT guys.
It's now obviously there's no evidence to say that she's sleeping around, man. Let's just say that.
No.
But it does. It is a bit funny in hindsight, but it carries on that long tradition, Matt, of if you win Tough Enough, you're really not going anywhere. I firmly believe that Josh from Tough Enough would eventually get cut, and Patrick will actually become something.
He's getting a lot more time on like WWE's Facebook as well.
Yeah. I mean, like he had his teeth chipped.
WWE decided let's take you on a journey of like Patrick's trip to the dentist.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. But you know, like it's the thing with Tough Enough in general, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, the only person.
Look at Big Andy. What happened there? Nothing.
At the minute he no-sold a stunner, he sealed his own fate. He won Tough Enough and basically killed his career on the same night. So,
yeah.
And then we got Cameron, Matt. So that was the only, I say the only good thing from Tough Enough. We got a lot of good wrestlers, but they all went to Lucha Underground. So, there's that.
Eva Lise was in NXT for a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and if WWE knew what they had, they should have fucking
And I
kept her.
completely forgot about that. I saw like a whole "Where Are They Now" on sort of like a bunch of NXT talent, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Because Eva Lisa is tearing it up in Lucha Underground. She really is. I'm actually, she's making it
She's
shit.
the baddest bitch in the place.
That's right. So, yeah, I mean, fair play to them. I hope they have a happy life and all that happiness. I'm a parent of 2 children. I know how hard it can be, but ultimately, Matt, it can be very rewarding. You know, once they stop shitting themselves and eventually can
I'll
speak.
just stick to handing them back at the end of the day.
Yeah, man. You know, because you fly over, spend a week with them, and then that's it. You know,
I'll just fly back.
yeah, exactly. Whereas I'm there at 5 o'clock in the morning when they decide, you know what, we kind of want to wake up now, and I'm like, no, fuck off, go back to bed. No, I'm like, so there we are. A little bit more news. I say news. So, talking a little bit here about not Sasha Banks. In a little bit, we'll talk about Sasha Banks. Del Rio. Apparently, there was news of him apparently being spotted at TNA last week. He wasn't there. But he did no-show a AAA event, I think.
Yeah.
Now, his reasoning for doing so was that he was a victim of a stabbing, and which is awful, you know, because we covered Jamie Noble getting stabbed. What's weirder about this is that...
Have you actually, just going back to Jamie Noble, have you seen the pictures?
Oh, they're awful, aren't they? They're
Proper
absolutely
punches.
Jeez. The thing about this, Matt, is that this keeps getting weird. And obviously this is all rumors and conjecture and people may be twisting the story. But there's been a lot of stories going around about this, about what happened. One of which being that Paige wasn't there. One of which being that Paige was there but was attacked and Del Rio was defending her. And another one being that Paige was the one who stabbed him.
Yeah.
I've heard every sort of story. It's impossible to know. I know that apparently like investigators like tried to go to the police and the police said we had no
case on file.
Yeah, that it wasn't called in, which is odd. So it's just very weird, Matt. It's just very strange.
Especially considering like AAA went as far as to sort of go, "Oh, we didn't hear anything," and then I think it's this trouble of all the mixed reports, because then they're like, "Oh, Paige was there." Well, wouldn't Paige have had because apparently like Del Rio's phone got like broken or smashed in the altercation, and then they're like, "Oh, well, if Paige was there, why didn't he just use Paige's phone?" It's like,
yeah,
maybe Paige wasn't there. It's like, come on, there's no one concise story going on at all.
No. I don't think we're like with these things. I don't think we'll ever learn what
Maybe she
happened
did
here.
stab him.
Maybe she did. Who knows?
He's like terrified of her.
You know, this is for having. You know, because she's marked himself with her name now, so she's in complete control of him. You know, I don't know, but I like that idea of Del Rio being a slave to her beck and call. But still, maybe she was paid back for that. That news conference that he did, but doing it in a Hooters. Maybe that was it. You know, she didn't want to hang out. Yeah, that's what you get, Del Rio, just stab. You know, but still, just strange. You know, just really weird. I've just heard tons of stories. People could write fan fiction about this now, and it might be close to the truth than some of these stories are. But still, there we are. Let's talk a little bit about Raw then. The reason being is because something quite big happened on Raw, and I didn't watch Raw this week, so let's talk a little bit about it. Now, obviously, for people that didn't catch last week, I said that because Raw has been so bad the last couple of weeks, I need to take a break. I'm not watching Raw this week, and I'm doing an article instead. So, one of the big things that happened here, Matt, is that there was an all-female main event on Raw, championship main event, and Sasha Banks won the championship. She's the new women's champion. Now, obviously, this is a big deal because this would go on the same breadth of Lita and Trish main eventing Raw. And it is a big deal. It is. I haven't watched the whole match. I watched the end and the celebrations.
I haven't watched any of it.
Yeah. And neither did a lot of fans because the ratings came off a little bit strange. And the reason why I say that is because last week the presidential debate was on, so you could expect the ratings to be, let's just say, not that great, which they weren't. In fact, it was the lowest rated Raw in history, right? This Raw was better, but not by much. The overall was still around 2.5 million viewers. The vice president debate was on, but come on, 80 million people aren't watching the vice president debate. It's just not happening. So where's the excuse for WWE here? They don't really have one. So it's weird then that this big monumental moment for the women was also not seen by a good chunk of WWE's audience because they've gone for whatever reason, which is a shame. You look at the viewers in that third hour, Matt, it's still like 2.3 million viewers. Yeah. That's not good, you know. Considering it was only like 18 months ago, they were still pulling 4 million viewers, you know. So to lose so much this quickly, it's quite alarming. But I'm happy for Sasha. The only thing I'm a little bit off with this about is that this hip hopping of the belt. You know,
yeah,
that
especially
big monument.
Especially considering I find it bizarre that this is the second time now that Sasha's contended for it on a pay-per-view, lost, and then won it like the next night.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's
recent, in near succession to the match.
Yeah. Now, what I would have done by them, I don't know why they didn't say last week when they announced this title, because last week they announced this title match was going to happen. Why they didn't say next week you will main event Raw? They didn't. They own. Yeah. Like, I didn't even know that the women were going to main event until I heard that it happened. Maybe that might have enticed me to go, you know what, I will catch next week because of that title match and it being a big thing. But I'd already said it by then. I already had my word out there. So, yeah, I mean, I'm happy, but it makes you wonder that if these sort of victories have stifled Sasha's overall push in general. Not push, her overall popularity. She's still very popular, of course, but she should have won it back at WrestleMania. Let's be honest. I've always stand by that. But I expect maybe at the next pay-per-view you're going to have Sasha defend it against Charlotte, which means they would have too many singles matches against each other recently. But then they've got to build up, obviously, to that Bayley-Sasha Mania match, which I think is just a dead give right now. I think that's a lock. So, I will always blame Raw for being so shit for the last couple of weeks that I felt like I had to take a break from it, and then I end up missing this match. It's their fault. And I'm not the only one that felt that way, clearly, because the ratings showed that. So
yeah. It's a terrible reflection in it, and it's just like they're suffering.
Yeah. And you can't put that rating on the women. You can only put it on the show in general that is slowly whittling away their fan base. And obviously we'll get into some of the ways that I think they've done that and some ways that they could solve some of those issues. But there we are. Is there any other news you want to go through there, Matt?
Well, I can't say I've come across anything.
No one else got stabbed? That would be a good thing.
Not that I'm aware of.
No, that'd be good. That'd be good. All right, then. On that Del Rio thing, he still is planning on going to England to do that.
He's already there.
He's already there. Well, there you go. There you go. Maybe you can be an investigative reporter, Matt, and get to the truth of this and find out.
I'm not making that travel.
Yeah. All right, then.
Get home from work. Fuck.
You don't fancy going up to, where do they do that? Is it Norwich that they do there?
Yeah.
Something? Yeah. No, maybe not. Fan feedback then. I got a couple of questions from you guys there this week. As always, if you guys do want to leave any questions, you've got all that backing stuff for you there on the graphics and in the description. And you've got that comment section below, as always. Kane St. Dennis says, if we were stuck on a bunker after a nuclear apocalypse and we can choose one wrestling DVD to keep you entertained for the rest of your life, what do we choose? I've got another question, Matt. After nuclear apocalypse, being stuck in a bunker, would you not think that you want to try and find a pit boy and maybe just go scour the wastelands a little bit?
Of course.
You know? Although they're super mutants. I don't know if I've got the balls.
Clouded my judgment, and I will leave the vault.
Yes, exactly. Unless you have a father who has some sort of way of purifying the water and then leaving you on a certain day, and all that stuff goes down. If you get a Mr. Handy in the future and I don't, I'll be very angry, Matt. So you have to know that.
Okay.
That's the way it is. But wrestling DVDs, what about you, Matt? What wrestling DVD would you like to be stuck with?
If I could watch one wrestling DVD for the end forever.
Yeah, until you die. Or become a mutant from radiation.
Isn't there like a Best of Mania DVD knocking around?
I imagine there might be.
I'd go for something like that, because at least then I get diversity in... Like, I was thinking to myself, the Ultimate Ric Flair collection. But then there's only so many times I can watch Ric Flair matches.
Yeah, I get you. Especially for the rest of your life. You end up getting sick of Ric Flair after a while. Because my initial thought, Matt, is that I've got the Bret Hart Best There Is, Best There Was, The Best There Ever Will Be collection, and it's like a 3-disc set. And it's got like the documentary and just fucking tons of his matches afterwards, including some of the Stampede days. But I initially thought, like you, I was a little bit like, oh, but I'd hate for my reason of insanity would be the fact that I was watching Bret Hart day in, day out and just be like rocking backwards and forwards going, best there was, best there ever will, best there ever will. Just like shaking back and forth. Putting my bed into the sharpshooter every day, just
finding shards of glass and trying to wear them like sunglasses.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the only way I could paint them purple, paint them pink, sorry, is to slip my wrists and kind of paint them with it and wait until it, went
a bit farther.
Yeah, but there you go. That's insanity for you.
That's the insanity right there. Yeah.
I do know. I don't know if this is a cop-out answer, but I definitely know that there's a Royal Rumble collection that has all the Royal Rumbles from like 5 years ago, and then back on. Not all the new ones, of course. But like, if I was allowed a collection, I'd probably go with the Royal Rumble collection, because then you've got like 20 years of Royal Rumbles, and
that's only Royal Rumble matches.
I think it's got all the actual events of the Royal Rumble, so you can actually get to watch all the other matches, yeah.
Oh, if that's the case, then that's not so bad. But if it was only Royal Rumble matches, I don't know.
Yeah. Because that way you're getting 30 different people each year, and that way, not different people, but still they're different, a year has passed and
yeah.
All this lot, so... that would be a good one, the Royal Rumble ones. Because then if you got let's say you got the Royal Rumble collection, it's 20 years worth of Royal Rumbles. Just with the Royal Rumble matches itself, that's 20 hours there.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to get through that every day. You'd have to, go on from there. So, but I don't know if that's a cop-out answer. I'm not sure. But we'll see. I do have the DX DVDs, but they're not as good as the Bret Hart ones. The DX ones don't have a large enough breadth of their matches.
The DX one's just a whole lot of backstage interviews and comedy. Basically,
yeah. So, and I'd probably go crazier with that quicker than I would watching the wrestling. So, there we go. Racist Fan Rock says, if the rumors are true, what promotion do we think invades Lucha Underground? I don't know. I haven't heard any of these rumors.
Yeah, I was going to say, what rumors are we talking about?
Yeah.
Ring of Honor, I suppose.
I don't know. The thing is, any company that goes in there, they'll have to integrate their talent into like the world of Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
That's
why an invasion just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Because it's not a promotion, it's a show.
That's it. It's a world, Matt. They've got a fucking universe built up with all their lore and everything, So
I can't remember where it was, but I saw the other day on like a wrestling Facebook group, and they found Cueto like as a backstage sort of dancer or something, and it's just sort of like on just a TV show, because obviously that's what he is. He's a TV actor.
Yeah. He's a classically trained actor, isn't he, or something like that?
Yeah.
Which is crazy considering, but they casted him so well for this show. He's like, I can't imagine anyone else playing the role of Dario Cueto.
I can't imagine Lucha without Dario Cueto.
No, I can't. He's part of it, So that's awesome. The only thing though is the only character I can imagine working Lucha Underground is someone like Broken Matt. And that character, I think that would work in Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
They could just go crazy with that.
Because it's just so far from reality.
Yeah, it's so abnormal that it would fit in the Lucha Underground world.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's happening, so there we go. So that's the questions this week. Not many this week, but you guys, the week before, you guys just bombarded us. Yeah, 2 questions this week. But last week we got like 12 or something. That was crazy. Yeah. So that's fine. That's completely fine. So yeah, if you guys want to leave any questions, leave so in the comment section there below. I am interested to see what you guys think of what's coming next, though, which is my article on Monday Night Raw. And it's named The 10 Ways That Raw Can Change Right Now to Improve the Show. Now, I was initially thinking of doing this for the Facebook page, and I have done articles on the Facebook page. I think I've done 3 so far. Yeah. So I was initially thinking of doing this for here, but as I didn't want to watch Raw, and the reason why I didn't want to watch Raw is because I'm getting burned out and I'm disliking it. I thought this was apt, Matt, to actually do this here on the show.
Yeah.
And that way, it's me being... Because one thing, the reason why I wanted to skip Raw this week isn't just to give myself a break, is because I hate ragging on the show. I really do. I don't like doing it. And I feel like I go on every single week and I'm like, and I feel like I whine way too much about the show. So I want to do something a little bit. So, okay, you know what? I don't like the way that things are going, but here is how I would, So I have 10 reasons. I initially started out with 5, and as I was doing the article, I quickly realized that just wasn't going to cut it. And at the end, I have an honorable mention about how I would book Seth Rollins as of today to build up to his match with Triple H. And I'm really excited about it. I really do like the idea of it. So, here we go. We've never done this before here on the show, so I don't know how this is going to go. Matt, you can give your thoughts on any of the points and add in maybe your ideas as you go along. But here we are, 10 ways that Raw can change right now to improve the show. Number 1, and I know people are going to roll their eyes, and believe me, it gets a lot more creative after this point. Number 1, Roman Reigns must go heel. I named this the Roman Reigns dilemma. Now, one of the biggest issues with the show is that the current and increased focus on Roman Reigns as the face character is basically WWE fighting with their own crowd to get their own way. And you should never fight with your customers. It's counterproductive. And I said before, Matt, that they should have turned him after WrestleMania 31. That's when he should have gone heel.
Yeah.
But they didn't, and then they paid the price for that at WrestleMania 32 when they had that. Oh God, it was awkward. That main event will probably go down as one of the worst main events in WrestleMania history. And it wasn't because the match was bad; it was slow. It wasn't a good match, but it's because that people weren't willing to cheer for Roman Reigns, and they haven't wanted to for a long time. The way they book him is very cookie cutter. He doesn't come across as if he's going to step on anyone's toes. He says his piece, which is very ordinary, and he does his thing, and it's not really exciting.
Yeah. They try and play him up to be a badass, and he's not a badass. No,
he doesn't come across like Austin, where like he's one statement away from causing absolute anarchy, right? Yeah. Roman Reigns comes across as almost like a company guy, like he's not willing to really break the mold. And WWE, for some reason, they just don't want to go with the flow of fan response anymore. Back when he was starting to get booed, they didn't see it when it was coming up and then change him and try and roll with that. And they've just been fighting people with it ever since. Their refusal, Matt, to learn from their past with stars like The Rock, who had to go heel. He had to. There was no other way. He had to go heel, is wasting their own time. The assumption, apparently, on management's part is that eventually the fans will just get on board and just accept him. That's naive.
Their plan, if that's what you're saying, like their plan is we'll just beat them into submission.
Yes. And this fan base ain't gonna tap out. They're gonna keep booing him. That assumption, Matt, is just naive and it's lazy.
Yeah,
it just is. That's them not willing to come up with a good face heel turn and then put someone else in his role. Why I know he's a good company guy and he'll be a great company guy for 10 years, but he won't. But that sheen will be taken off him if you don't initially make him go heel, so he can earn the fans' respect.
Yeah.
And he can use all these boos and become one of the best heels this company has seen in a long while.
It's like going, like you mentioned, like obviously we always bring it up as an example, but you mentioned The Rock. And it's just sort of like he wouldn't be the man he is today, really, without that heel turn.
No, that heel turn was the making of him.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because he was going out as Rocky Maivia and being that blue chipper baby face, and the fans were turning on him quick. And I know his injury kind of helped him get an understanding, but if he had come back as the blue chipper, he just would have got booed again. And then you would be in the same position. But he came back, he did the Die Rocky Die speech, which was just awesome, right? And he went heel for a while, for a long while. In fact, Rock was kind of in and out heel for a good portion of his career, you know? And look at him now, man. He's a global star, global. And The Rock was so good as a heel, man, that even when he was a heel, he was still drawing for them because he was a cool heel, right? People still wanted to see him, you know? They wanted to see what he was going to say each week because he was entertaining, you know? So I think it's dumb, and I've said this before. I know this is the one that that fans are going to be like, I've said this week in, week out, but I just don't understand. I don't understand why they think it's okay to be so stubborn with this character. Look at Seth Rollins. He's gone face, right? He went heel after breaking away from the Shield, right? Look at Dean Ambrose. He's kind of flirting in and out with face and heel at the moment, being a dickhead sometimes, right? You look at John Cena. Fair enough. He's the one I can sort of understand. Like, they've always had a thing where he was always 50-50. That he had fans that definitely wanted to see him, right? And he would get cheered in some buildings more than he would get booed, and he would get booed in buildings. This is with Roman Reigns. It's constant. It's constant refusal of him. And I don't understand why they don't seem to want to roll with the punches here and go, you know what, okay, we'll take a year of Roman Reigns' career as a heel so he can spend the next 10 years as a babyface.
Yeah.
You know? I don't understand why they don't do it, but there you go. He has to go heel. He absolutely has to, because he's the one he's one of the guys on that roster with the most spotlight put on him every single week. And the fact is, when you've got the most spotlight put on a guy, of which is being so negatively received by the fan base, that damages the show. Just outright, you know? So there we go. Number 1, Roman Reigns. He has to go heel. Number 2, there is no overarching story or theme on any Monday Night Raws. You may remember Steve Austin actually said this over the last couple of, I think it was like almost a year ago he said this. It's a while back now. But back in the days of the really good Raws, you would get a feel, Matt, that the show was there to either sell one rivalry or sell one feud, or it had like an overarching theme that was dedicated towards progressing a story. Because the show at the moment, how they do it at the moment is that they compartmentalize the show. So the show is made up of lots of little storylines that don't go very far week by week because they've got to fill out 4 weeks. So you see, let's say Darren Young's in a rivalry for the US Championship with whoever, right? He'll do something very small to remind people that feud is still going every single week leading up to it. So you never feel like anything's really happening, right? If they did it so they would dedicate the majority of the spotlight on the show to one rivalry each week, you would genuinely feel that show has a purpose and that rivalry will start getting somewhere. Because let me put this in an analogy for you. So basically what they've got here is, let's say that in terms of all the storylines, that because they're all compartmentalized, it's almost like different. It's like a train slowly chugging along at a snail's pace because it's too fucking long and it's carrying too many people. You know?
Yeah.
That it's not
just overloaded.
Yeah, it's overloaded, right? And because they have to have a look at every single carriage at a checkpoint whenever they get there, it takes too long. And that way you're not really focusing on each thing. You're basically just getting a little snippet here and there. I'm not saying that you don't have all of the feuds get some sort of airtime over the course of that week to remind people that's going on and move it on a little bit. But let's say you've got 4 weeks leading up to a pay-per-view and you've got 4 matches that you want to sell as the main parts of that pay-per-view. Every single week, you should have each of those feuds get a week where the spotlight is definitely on them, and the the big things that happen on that show revolves around that particular feud. That way you feel like you can have plenty of video segments, centered around what happened that week. And you just feel like instead of you getting spoon-fed little bits of your food, from each little bit, you can actually have a big chunk of a storyline that week, and you really feel, okay, this is really gaining traction, and I can get into this now. It makes more sense. But the way they're doing it at the moment, you feel like there's no progression. You feel like there's no overall theme of the show, and it's just more of the same. It's going through the paces. So I think that needs to change. I think you need an overarching theme. I think you need the spotlight put on feuds a lot more specifically, so they have a better chance of just getting over. It's the way it is. So yeah, that's number 2. Number 3, anyway. The length of the show has to be addressed. Now, I'm not saying that the 3 hours can be changed, because I'm doing this list realistically, and they get too much money. They're in a contract with USA. We just have to live with the fact that 3 hours is there, and they have to deal with it. It's very easy to say in a list like this, Matt, Raw should just go back to 2 hours. I know would be better, but that's just not feasible, So, how would you address the 3 hours?
That's a bit like a dumping ground.
What do you mean?
Because you always hear the sort of you want to essentially leave a hook that's actually a half decent thing, rather than in the main event. And by that point, most people are like, I don't even give a fuck.
Well, you look at last week; we didn't even know what the main event was going to be until Enzo and Cass came out to confront Jericho and Kevin Owens.
Yeah,
not the week this week, guys. The week before that I did review. So 3 hours. The third hour is slipping because they keep on going as they are. The show's length is exhausting. Nobody can comfortably watch Raw for that length of time. It just doesn't work. And the fan base has slowly been burned out. WCW actually dealt with the third hour far better than Raw is doing at the moment. And what they did in that first hour is that they would put some of their best wrestling in that first hour. They put the cruiserweights out there, Matt. Yep. They would normally have a promo involving the main event, selling that main event, because Raw doesn't sell their main events that well. The idea of having a main event, I know they did this week, so maybe it doesn't come across that well, but I'll say again, the week that I did review beforehand, it was just a random main event just come out of nowhere. That really didn't seem like it actually went anywhere. Enzo and Cass will not be feuding with Jericho and Owens, because Owens has to go and do his things with the championship. That's just the way it is. So I think, honestly, their placement of the cruiserweight division is a bit balked. I think the cruiserweight should definitely be in that first hour. I honestly think they should have a match to start off every single show, and I've said that before. I think having a 15-minute promo at the beginning of the show doesn't really work. You can get a hook, but people, when they say you need a hook, and I understand that, you can have a hook that's left over from last week. If they had said last week on Raw, Matt, as I said earlier on, well, the women will be main eventing next week, and it will be for the championship, there's your hook. You don't need to start off the show with the women coming out and saying, I'm going to win, blah, blah, blah. People are already excited for it. It's the way it is. And you need that hook to get people into the third hour. People are going to watch that first hour. So if you leave that hook anywhere in that first hour, then you're going to be okay. It doesn't matter where you put it in that first hour. So not every single week do you need to have a promo to start off Raw. Break up the formula a little bit, basically, when I say the length of the show has to be addressed, the flow of the show has to be addressed. Because too often it could be stacked in that first hour, or they try and stack it in the last hour, and you feel like there's certain huge sections of the show, Matt, which are just shit. And all it takes is 2 bad matches, 2 promos that people aren't involved in, and a backstage segment, and people are dead. Yeah. They're not already tuning out. It doesn't take that much. Half an hour of Raw is enough to get people to buy out of the show. And it's showing in the ratings. So the flow of the show has to be addressed. And they need to sell the fact that when they have a main event, they need to sell that a lot earlier in the show or in the week before. Number 4, the squash matches. Matt, I watch SmackDown. Do you get many squash matches on SmackDown?
Nope.
No. Well, I told you, you've heard this week. We got 3 on Raw currently doing squash matches.
I think they're stopping Strowman's, though. I hear reports that he's now called for stronger opponents.
Yeah, which is at least good, on that front. But it happened too long to having the 3
this
of
week
them.
He faced Adam Cole.
Really?
Wow.
In a squash match? Oh,
Yeah.
That's ugly. I don't like that. But anyway, so
Dale Silver or something, whatever they called him. Yeah, it was Adam Cole.
They pushed their random name generator and they said, there you go, that's what's going to pop up there.
That's it. Just, we need a generic wrestler name.
Yeah. He's far too good to be doing squash matches to struggle.
Yeah.
Adam Cole, jeez. Anyway, so I'm an advocate of squash matches. I actually like squash matches. And I said before, part of the issue, I think, is because they got 3 heels doing squash matches. And one of them can't sell his dominance very well, being Bo Dallas. No one's going to really buy that Bo Dallas can kill someone in a way that Braun Strowman can. It just doesn't come across. There's a reason why Ryback. It worked for Ryback when he got his push because it was just a lot more fun. People wanted to cheer for Ryback to dick over these guys. When you got Strowman and the other ones, it's like, oh, okay, he's killing someone else, and because he's a heel, we're not supposed to really enjoy his destructive nature. With Ryback, it was fun that he would destroy these guys, and he would take a bit of glee in it, and
it'd be like 2 guys simultaneously as well.
I think squash matches aren't the problem. It's who they chose to have the squash matches for, and the fact that they chose 3 people on their roster to constantly have them. It just ain't going to work. If you're going to do like a monster build-up with squash matches, that's fine, but you need to choose better, and you need to... this goes with the flow of the show, Matt. You can't have squash match, promo, squash match, promo, squash match. You just can't do it. Because people just buy out of it. They'll get completely tuned out. Which they have done. They would send out Nia Jax to do a squash, then they would do a backstage segment, and then they would send Braun Strowman out. It's like, oh, God, same shit, It just ain't going to work. So I think they are starting to amend this one. So this is the one that they're probably getting into. But the fact is that it's still like 2 months went by with them constantly doing these squash matches. And I don't want people to be thinking, well, squash matches just don't work nowadays. They do. It's just not this way, Because I remember that build-up with Ryback. Man, that was fun. I remember talking to some people, and they said that, honestly, some of the most fun on the pay-per-views at the time was Ryback getting in there with some local talent, just dicking them over, Yeah. So, but still. Number 5, the WWE promo. This doesn't mean all the promos they do, but Matt, I think you know what I mean when I say WWE promo, which is the promo I hate. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The everyone in here now.
Yeah. Basically, if anyone's played Hearthstone, the game Hearthstone, you know that it's basically the was it the drunk patron, his name, or grim patron? It's basically him. Everybody get in here and say one line. Let's do that. Let's bring the whole fucking roster out and have a go. WWE do this so often. It takes up far too much time and it kills the crowd. It's a crowd killer. That promo, Matt, is a absolute bona fide crowd killer, and it gets no one anywhere. It gets everyone nowhere. It doesn't get anyone to really get their feud going. It's just boring. No one gets to say their piece, and nobody gets a decent promo out there. If you're going to do promos, Matt, I'd much rather they do it like they did on SmackDown this week, which is you get the guys in there and you get them to really go against each other verbally. There were 2 promos on SmackDown this week, which were fantastic. And we're going to go into that, obviously, in the SmackDown review. I haven't had that on Raw in months. I don't know why, because these guys...
Makes me happy.
Yeah, you're quite happy, yeah. I don't know why. Why they can do it okay on SmackDown, and on NXT, by bear in mind, but then they don't do it on Raw. Because these guys could talk, Matt, for the bones of 15 minutes. And it was entertaining. You know, it's I don't understand how they for some reason they decide to do these very formulaic, cheesy promos when clearly they've got people inside that company that can fill that time with much better talking opportunities. It's just I don't understand. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. And they go back to this WWE promo. So the WWE promo has to be banned. No more, I'm going to win the championship, entrance music. I come down, well, you'll have to go through me if I'm going to win the championship. Entrance music comes out. Well, you two guys know nothing. I'm going to win the championship, entrance music. Oh, well, if anyone's going to win the championship, it's going to be me over here, entrance. You get what I'm saying? It's just like, I basically just wrote one there, just coming out with it. That's how formulaic it is. But unfortunately, we see it way too often, and it can't happen.
Oh, I don't know.
Go on.
The not the main event one, but the closing promo was quite similar to that on SmackDown.
The difference is, Matt, they all got to say their piece.
Cena didn't get to say anything.
Yeah, but the promos from Stars and Ambrose were fucking excellent. So there's that. They got to say their piece, and they actually got to enhance their match. A lot of times they do this WWE promo and they only get one line and they never get anything else apart from that afterwards. So
you're a fool. No, you're a fool. No, you're a fool. It's like, you're all fools. Shut up.
And it's just the reason I bring it up is because it happens too often, and clearly someone there loves writing these sorts of promos because it's a way of them setting up multi-tag matches. Why don't you just go, okay, we'll get two guys to go in there and talk properly, but we'll just say afterwards that they're going to be in a multi-tag match.
Yeah.
Rather than using this as an excuse for them to brawl. It's just stupid. So there we are. Number 6. This is where I think the points start getting a little bit more pivotal to the show. Number 6, there is no anarchy. It is too predictable. A lot of fans dislike the angle where everyone walked out on Raw and Triple H ended up having to be a guest referee and CM Punk was the commentator. Remember, can I have your jacket? And then all that sort of stuff. I know.
The vote of no confidence.
The vote of no confidence angle. Personally, what I think it was a little bit botched, I actually think the idea of it was fantastic.
Yeah.
The very idea that on a Raw, suddenly all the rules have changed, and things that you would expect to be there just aren't there. I was actually a little bit sad when after that happened and they all left and then they kind of went on for a little bit until it all stopped. Raw just went back to being the same as what it was before. I was a bit like, I was kind of looking forward to see where this would go, and what was going to happen there. But it was, I use that as an excuse. I use another one, another example here, Matt. The Nexus angle was a huge injection of utter anarchy.
When they trashed the place.
Yeah. There's no other word to explain it, Matt. Anarchy, right? Yeah. And Matt, that was fun as all hell, was it not? That was
indeed.
It was so fun. The fact is that Raw seems too safe. That the characters seem far too set in stone, and the characters of today don't seem as if they're capable of creating that anarchy anymore. I think part of this is down to the fact that you've got Stephanie McMahon as an authority figure. And I don't think that, for whatever reason, they don't want Stephanie to come across as if she's not in control of the show. The problem with that, Matt, is that it's boring. Yeah. Back in the Attitude Era, it seemed like you had a couple of characters that on a flip, almost like just with a click, they could change the game. Austin would come down and just rinse the ring or take out the boss with a stunner, and suddenly all the rules would change, and suddenly it was, you didn't know what was going to happen next, or you'd have The Rock doing something similar to that,
Yeah.
You don't have anyone that seems to give a middle finger to the authority in that way and really switch things up and really make things unpredictable. And I don't understand why they don't do this. Because it just makes the show seem too safe. Like it's not capable of all hell breaking loose at any moment. It never seems that way. Whereas Back in the day, Matt, back in the heyday of Stone Cold Steve Austin, when that glass hit, you knew
shit's hitting the fan.
Shit's hitting the fan. No person at the moment, maybe Brock Lesnar, but no one apart from Brock Lesnar. When that music hit, you think, "Oh, hot damn! This is going down right now." There's no one like that, and I don't understand why. They need a sheer injection of anarchy. They need some madness. They need to take whatever.
I think the last time, actually, just go back. I think the last time that happened was Shield.
What, when the Shield were coming down? Maybe them trying to break up Brock and Undertaker. You could probably class that as a little bit anarchy, because they couldn't get in control.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan's Yes Movement thing when he had all of them in the ring, that was really cool. That was really good. But there's just not many moments like that anymore, especially recently. It just doesn't. It seems like the show is safe, and that's a problem there. So. Anarchy. They need to take whatever remains of Macho Man, get all that madness up, and inject the show full of it. They need madness running through their veins. That's what they need. Number 7. Rivalries are lasting far too long, and the same wrestlers are facing each other far too often. How many times? I joked about it. We've seen Cesaro and Sheamus wrestle each other.
Yep.
Ridiculous amount of times. How many times?
The best of 7. Ugh.
And they wrestled each other twice before then, right?
Yep.
How many times have we seen Rusev and Reigns fight each other? They're going to be wrestling in a Hell in a Cell match at the next pay-per-view. I get the status quo, which is making a rivalry that comes out with a decided winner over 3 matches, and you have the rubber match to decide who is the winner. UFC. Now, I know this doesn't translate completely, but the UFC barely does rematches at all. Look at Jose Aldo. He's about to leave the company because he's not getting his rematch, even though he beat the was like a contender for Conor McGregor's belt. If you lose a championship in UFC, it's actually a lot less likely you'll get a rematch right off the bat, unless you're a Conor McGregor and you can throw your weight around.
Yeah,
it's just not set in stone. It might be a fight down the line. But you might lose your championship, lose the next fight, and suddenly you're completely out of contention. And the reason they do that is because rematches don't generate interest. And the reason being, Matt, is because the people have already seen the match. They've seen what they're going to see. Which is even worse if that original match was not very good. It works maybe for a John Cena and AJ Styles because they were putting on Match of the Year candidates, but the whole roster can't be doing that, So, here's my thing of how to battle this, Matt. I would like the championship rematch clause to be abolished. So, no champion gets a immediate rematch after losing the championship. You could do a thing where that champion might get first dibs on a number 1 contendership match, but you don't get an automatic rematch. And the reason why I do that is because, obviously, to break down the monotony of just constantly getting rematches after rematches after rematches after rematches. Because if you remember Del Rio and Kalisto wrestling for the US title, they kept trading the belt and wrestling each other like 9 times in 2 months. It got ridiculous, And that didn't get either guy over. That was stuck. They were stuck wrestling each other and their momentum was dying. No one was getting over, And there's tons of feuds that have just gone way past their expiry date and ended up killing both guys in that fashion. Because I don't remember anyone wanting Del Rio or Kalisto after that rivalry, even though Kalisto had won the belt and walked out of that rivalry on the better way. But it just didn't seem as if people wanted Kalisto after that. They were bored of him. So I would like it that every contender has to win a number 1 contendership match. It would mean that the matches themselves mean a lot more. Because if you do want the champion to, the champion that loses his championship, if you do want to carry on the rivalry for whatever reason, then at very least he wrestles someone to get that slot. Yeah. And he's wrestling someone else rather than constantly wrestling the same guy week in, week out. And then if you realize that the actual feud is not really working, then instantly you have a reason to go, well, you're going to wrestle this guy, and the other guy becomes the number 1 contender, and you shake things up that way, So that's what I would do. I would abolish the rematch rule. Now, I know some people disagree. What do you think about that, Matt? Abolishing the rematch rule?
I don't know.
It's a bit of a radical change.
It's a real change.
Because WWE have hung their hat on that rematch rule for a long time. But that's what I would do. I think you've got to do something, Matt, to stem the fact that far too many feuds just go on too long and they seem like they've wrestled each other all the time. It never ends. And whether that's just WWE being a little bit more sly and a little bit more creative, that's fine. But I think, honestly, you had to take the temptation away. And I think abolishing the rematch rule would do that. So, be interested to see how people think about that. Anyway, moving on. Number 8. Matt, I know you're going to agree with this one. When out of all these points, this is the one that I thought that you would agree with the most on. There have been no special episodes of Raw. None. I can't remember the last one that they did. That means old school. So no old school Raw.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
No Vegas roulette. Remember they did that?
Yep.
They haven't even come up with anything new. I thought maybe for one of the episodes, for one night only, one of the belts is under 24/7 rules.
Yeah.
You know, the World Championship for one night only, from the time that Raw starts to the time it ends, it's on the 24/7 rule. That would be fun. That'd be creative. Even bring back the old school Raw, I think would be cool. And the Vegas roulette, that doesn't even take that much to do. You know, you just do it.
That's the easiest one. Just bring out a spinning wheel. Let's go. Just have a go at it.
Yeah. There's been a sheer lack of any special episodes. There's been none. I can't believe. I can't remember
the last one.
No, I can't remember either. You know, they need to come up with some new ideas. They need to get a little bit. I know it costs a little bit of money, but come on. Would you not spend a bit of money to generate a little bit of interest on a very long, monotonous, like, you know, the time between SummerSlam and the first Raw pay-per-view?
Yeah.
There was like 6 weeks went past. Why not on week 3 put in a special episode? Yeah. Their idea of a special episode,
especially like the Raw roulette, like just mix it up. It's like, we're in Vegas. Why the hell not?
Yeah. I have no clue what, and they should be coming up with other ideas to really get people involved and okay, we watch this week because it's going to be different. You know, it's going to have this sort of stipulation attached to this week of Raw. You know,
yeah.
Maybe you do one Raw that's you know, all of them are tag team matches, but they're all jumbled up or something. It's just something. I mean, they don't be very good. You know,
there's Teddy Long in the background, just yes,
yeah.
Team match.
You know what I mean? No, just do something to break the constant of it. But they don't seem to want to do that, and they haven't done a special in God knows how long.
Considering, like, it was the one thing I actually quite liked. I know we got some real shit out of it. We also got some gems, which was the year of the guest hosts.
Yeah.
We got some awful ones. We got some really good ones, but it was always different.
Yeah, it was always something, right? There was always something going on. Now it just seems like you've just got Stephanie McMahon. And I've seen more than enough Stephanie McMahon over the last 3 years to hang myself over Stephanie McMahon. And her cutting off the balls of everyone on that roster. Yeah, it's... just give us some special episodes, anything, you know? I can't remember the last old school. They did, like, old school Raw for, like, 2 years, and then they stopped it. And I'm like, why? Yeah. Why would you do that? It's fun. Matt, dare I say it is fun?
I mean, the only reason I can think of why they not do Raw Roulette anymore is since going to USA and it's like the roulette is technically, it's very loosely gambling.
That would be awful, though, wouldn't it? Like,
it would.
Even if they did like bingo or shit, I don't care. Just something to, like, you know.
The lottery, like similar to the Royal Rumble. Like, are we not going to get, like, I don't remember the last time we saw the little spinning. Like the spinning drum for a rumble. Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, TNA does this far too much, where they do like almost gimmicks every single week, sort of thing. Back in the day, anyway. I don't know if they do it now. I'm not saying do that, but what I'm saying is pick out the times where, for now, you don't have a pay-per-view for a while and schedule them around then, every now and then. All I'm talking is like 2 or 3 special Raws a year. That's not that much, you know. But they haven't done any So
I think it's the fact that they don't feel the need anymore, especially now that there's sort of like a pay-per-view every other week.
I know, but even those pay-per-views don't feel special anymore. You know, I know they're themed, so like Hell in a Cell, we're going to have Hell in a Cell matches, but it just seems, I don't know, it's just, but there we are. All right then, so are you ready for number 9?
We'll set for it. What's it going to be?
Very good. All right, number 9. I actually talked about this a little bit on the Facebook page, but I did an article talking about the pre-show panel. What I would do is that I would change the pre-show panel into the analysis panel. Now, what I mean by this is that the pre-show panel itself is a weapon in WWE's arsenal that's unfortunately stocked with the wrong ammunition, firing at the wrong targets. Okay. That's the way I look at it. The fact is that I would cancel the pre-show. The entire Raw pre-show, I'd cancel it.
Are you referring to like the pre-show? Oh yeah, because Raw, Raw and SmackDown have a pre-show now.
Yeah,
it's always the same 3, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much now. Yeah, it's pretty much set in stone.
Is it Renee?
Renee, Lita, Lawler, and Booker.
So the 4 of them are the only 4 people who are everywhere then.
Yeah. So here's the issue, right? So the pre-show. Listen, the pre-show is a network exclusive. I very much doubt that people are buying the network for the Raw pre-shows. They're just not doing it. I very much doubt that people care about the pre-show.
I don't think I've ever watched one.
Yeah. What I would do is cancel the pre-show, but keep the panel. When I say keep the panel, I'm going to talk about that. So keep the panel, but I'd cancel the pre-show because people don't care about it and whatever. What I would do is I would change it into the analysis panel. I would make it so...
You want the talking smack.
I essentially, to a degree. So what I want is... Because they've got 3 hours to fill, right? You don't need that to always constantly be in-ring or promos. I think having the analysis panel for 15 minutes of this show every single week, I think it would do very well. And what do I mean by the analysis panel? First of all, you have to remove everyone on that panel apart from Renee Young. So you have to get rid of Booker T, because he's barely understandable most of the time. Right? Let's be honest now. You have to remove Lita because she's awkward. She's just very, very awkward.
Yep.
And you have to remove Lawler because that just isn't the right role for him. And part of the reason why the pre-show itself doesn't work is because it's all rehearsed shit. It's all bollocks. Like the very fact that you've got all of them picking different people. They still
fuck it up.
They still fuck it up, right? It comes off as really awkward. The only person I'd keep was Renee Young because I think she could still do a good job there, right? What I would do is I would bring in 2, at max 2 people, right? So I basically reduce it down from 4 people to 3 because you have Renee Young and 2 other people. These 2 people have to be, obviously well-spoken, but they have to be people like almost like Corey Graves, where they could look into the analysis and the criticals of the match. So ideally, what you would do is that you would have just after the... What do you mean?
It sounds almost exactly like...
Monday Night Football is basically to a degree. So you've got 15 minutes. After the first hour, I would put these guys on. So what you would do then is that you would have it like a touch screen, like Monday Night Football or, the Sky Sports stuff. And you'd be able, because by then you would have the main event in place. You'd know what the main event would be.
Yeah.
So you'd have these guys looking at the individual strengths of each wrestler, really building up this main event, going through some video clips of their matches of some of their most dangerous moves and how the other guy could counter it, right? And really go analysis, really go full in. You need people to be very, the reason why it works on these sports shows is because these people are very passionate about the art of what they're talking about, Yeah. And they talk about, this person could go here, this person could pass it to this guy, and maybe if they counteract this, blah, blah, they get really into it. You need to have 2 guys just as passionate. You can't have Booker T because you just ramble on. You can't have Lawler because he wouldn't know how to work the fucking thing, right? He wouldn't know how to do it. But that's how I do it. 15 minutes of building it up with people know what they're talking. And people the main thing that I think is wrong with this is the fact that when you're focusing on this analysis panel, obviously there's no matches going on in the ring. I wouldn't air it on the TV, but what I would do, Matt, to keep the live crowd still buzzing and give them a little bit of a break, I would actually record your one of your superstar matches while this analysis panel is going on.
Okay.
That's how I would do it. That way you've got the crowd, they've got some wrestling to watch, so it's not
a dead spot.
It's not a dead spot. And you can have the analysis panel working on, and they could do their thing. Yeah, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to get working, but I do think it would be good. I think it would help the show, and it fills up a little bit more of those 3 hours. So I would can the pre-show panel, and I would make it the analysis panel. That's what I would do. You know, if you really want to build up, like they do, like the sports sorts, the sport feeling of the CWC, why not try and do that more for the main events and build up and, you know, get some of the elements that they did from the CWC where they could look at certain moves and stuff like this. And
Corey Grace was stood in front of the big screen sort of thing.
Yeah. Now, I like, they don't even have to be, they could still be in the arena like the pre-show panel is now. Or you could do it, that's the glory about it. You could do it wherever you wanted to. Yeah. But I still think it would build up the match. I think it would take up time, and I genuinely think it would be a great addition to the show. I think people would be much more interested in this than watching 2 backstage segments involving Stephanie McMahon and a bad match. You know?
Yeah.
So that's what I'd do. I would make the analysis panel. So that's another big change. Number 10. I've said this a little bit before. The divisions cannot remain as bare as they currently are. And what I mean by that is, when I mean bare, I have to explain this better. WWE, unfortunately, with Raw, have a habit of really playing down the fact that their divisions are anything more than the champions and the current challengers.
Yeah.
So, for instance, they had a rivalry going on for a little while between Shining Stars and Enzo and Cass. Why you couldn't make that be a number 1 contendership rivalry for the tag team titles? I don't know why they didn't do that. They should.
You're almost comparing to the fact that, like you've mentioned the Shining Stars and Enzo and Cass as a tag team. SmackDown, a 2-hour show, had 2 tag team matches this week.
Yeah. But that's the issue of Raw. It seems that the divisions are barely operational. That you're constantly seeing at the moment, especially with the women's and the tag team divisions, you're seeing the same people wrestling each other in all the time. Mm-hmm. New Day have been in a rivalry with the club for far too long. And there's been no other teams wrestling each other to try and steal the club spot. Which doesn't happen, you know. You don't have in the women's division anyone apart from Bayley, Sasha, and Charlotte really going for the title. And Bayley was added in recently to try and shake things up. If she wasn't added in recently, then this women's division would be dead, because it would just be. You would think that the entire division is either Charlotte or Sasha. There's no one else.
Yeah. It
felt kind of cool, Matt, when you had Dana Brooke actually wrestling in a triple threat match for the number 1 contendership. You thought, well, actually, maybe, you know, I might like to see a Dana Brooke and Charlotte championship match. You know? It felt like the division was a little bit bigger than what it actually, a little bit bigger than what they've shown it to be. And they can't keep going by. I know this is a byproduct of the brand split, but it's not as if they don't have teams or they don't have women. They just choose not to
use them.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's my 10 reasons for how I would change up Raw. There's some of the more philosophical reasons, and they're trying to plug some of the holes for the reasons why I dislike Raw. This is one that I'm really happy about. So I did an honorable mention, and this is not so much a reason to fix Raw. This is to kind of build up one of their biggest storylines going at the moment. So this is the Seth Rollins storyline. And I label this the Seth Rollins invasion angle. So this is my honorable mention. This is number 11 if you really want to go for this. So it seems that he's going to be wrestling Triple H. That's what they're building up to at WrestleMania. So what do you do for the 6 months between now and WrestleMania? It's a long time of Rollins not being able to wrestle Triple H because they don't seem to want to put him on television. And I don't think this whole thing of him mouthing off to Stephanie or going for the Universal Championship is just going to get him anywhere. People are just going to get bored. So this is what I would do. I would do the Seth Rollins invasion angle. So here's how I would do it. So Rollins is incensed, clearly, that Triple H has basically screwed him out of the championship and picked Kevin Owens over him. So Rollins decides, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit creative here, and I'm going to hit you where it really hurts. And I'm going to go and attack NXT. So you have Seth Rollins every now and then on NXT episodes before a guy comes out, I know they're doing this a lot with Samoa Joe at the moment, so maybe you'd have to call it on that front. But he comes out and just disrupts the show. Whether it be him taking out someone, whether it be him causing havoc backstage, he's just genuinely, he's becoming a threat to NXT. So much so that William Regal can't deal with it himself because Seth Rollins he's a man possessed. He wants to hit Triple H. He wants to kill Triple H's baby, right? Which is NXT, right? He loves NXT. And then what you have eventually, Matt, is that you have Regal, who's trying to deal with the issue himself, decides, okay, I'm going to send my best guy to deal with you. My best guy is Shinsuke Nakamura. And you have Nakamura as the NXT champion being like, well, if I'm going to wrestle him, then obviously I'm going to put my title on the line because it's, I can't wrestle him. If I wrestle him without putting my title on the line, then what sort of champion am I? So you do a special on NXT, Seth Rollins against Shinsuke Nakamura, which people are going to want to watch. That's going to be that's going to be hot shit. People are going to want to. It would be awesome to see someone on. I mean, you can still have Seth Rollins being on Raw and doing stuff there, but his main thing of his storyline would be involved in NXT. And there would be big interest around this. The idea that someone from Raw and an NXT alumni is coming back to NXT in a violent way. Like he's coming back to destroy the company. And I would have him win the NXT championship from Shinsuke Nakamura. And I'd have a very much CM Punk moment where you've got Triple H who runs down to the ring, and he's trying to, he's wondering what the fuck's going on. And Rollins basically just flips in the finger and fucking bugs out of the crowd. There's a CM Punk on it, like, well, I'm your champion now. I'm going to hold this belt to ransom. I don't give a shit. I came here to, I got what I wanted. I've got the prize, the crown jewel of your brand. And, I could spray paint that shit, do an NWO on it. I could spit on the championship. You could, because at this point, Matt, Rollins would be beyond talking point. He's broken, right? He's snapped and he's hitting Triple H really where it hurts. And this builds up, obviously, obviously you'd have to have Rollins lose the championship back to Nakamura. Maybe Triple H gets back at him in some way and he loses the title back to Nakamura or anyone, depends, right? But then this leads up then, how much would Triple H want to kill Seth Rollins after all that?
That's true.
And Seth Rollins then comes across as this guy who you just can't stop. He's crossing brands and taking people out. And this leads to this epic WrestleMania match where Triple H is like, you know what? Whatever happens, this is the end, right? Right? I promise that once this is done, we're going to beat the shit out of each other at WrestleMania. And whoever wins can have that over the other person, but neither of us can afford for this to go on any longer than WrestleMania. This is where it ends, and it ends here. Nothing else, Yeah. Make it a proper blood feud. That's how I would do Seth Rollins, the Seth Rollins invasion. That's what I would do.
I mean, to tie that in, you could go with like when Rollins returns the championship to NXT, obviously by losing. You could almost have it as almost like a fatal 4-way match, but it's Seth Rollins versus like 3 top NXT guys. Yeah. So you could have Rude, Nakamura, like if Joe's still around, then Joe. And then you could have, I'd probably go with Rude to win and then start to kick off the glorious title reign.
Yeah, that's right. And that way you can have Rollins even lose the championship not by being pinned. And that way you can have like almost Triple H takes him out, so he loses the title without being pinned, but he could be on the outside or something like that, Yeah. In fact, that's a really good idea, That way you've got 2 big championship, you could have that fatal 4-way at Full Sail, because you don't want Rollins to be main eventing 2 NXT events, I don't think. But can you imagine how awesome it would be for an NXT special to headline with Nakamura and Rollins? People are going to be talking about that shit, and it'd be awesome. And can you imagine what am I saying? The injection of anarchy when Seth Rollins actually wins the NXT title again, becomes a 2-time NXT champion, and this time it's not him holding up the belt as a trophy.
NXT champion.
Yeah. It's not him holding up the title as a trophy. I mean, he's disrespecting the title, right? Because a slap to NXT is a slap to Triple H, So I think that would be awesome. I think that would be really cool, and it'll get Seth Rollins over. It's just fucking badass. That it would almost make Triple H almost regret messing with the guy.
Yeah,
So I think that would be awesome. What do you think anyway, Matt? Do you think that would be fun? I think that would be lots of fun.
It would be, yeah.
I think that'd be really good.
They lead to some great NXT specials.
Yeah, it would. It really would. So, yeah,
But
there's my...
The trouble is you then have Rollins pulling double duty a lot.
I don't think he would mind. I really don't think.
Probably
The useful thing about NXT is that he only has to go down there for a set of tapings, which would be okay. And a lot of times they would do NXT events, sometimes even in the same areas, like a pay-per-view happening.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he'd be okay. I'm sure he'd be all right. You just lighten his load a little bit on Raw in terms of in-ring. That's how I'd do it.
Yeah.
All right then, Matt. So SmackDown review. I've talked a lot there. So kick us away with the SmackDown review.
I spin myself around. I sat myself in a more comfortable position.
You're enjoying my article there. What do you think of that anyway? Doing
That's
stuff
solid.
Yeah, it took a lot of time.
Unfortunately, I can't really say much because I don't know how bad it truly is.
Yeah, it's one of those things, Matt, that I don't think you would maybe get some of the points if you hadn't been watching Raw and you understand some of the issues going on there. Yeah. But that's completely fine. So, anyways.
So, SmackDown. I can't even remember where it was. But something that you quite enjoy, matches starting the night. And we had Wyatt versus Kane. Although I wouldn't go as far as to say the match was great.
Wasn't even go on that long, did it? And
it was a setup for Orton just to go, oh, I can play mind games too. Whoa. And at that point, Wyatt's just like, nah, fuck this shit, and just walks off.
But yeah, he's got bigger fish to fry than Kane, hasn't he, really? So
yeah, that's it. Like,
I thought what's weird.
Nah.
I sent this to you, is that the SmackDown side plates. It came up with Kane's actual hometown, even though
Kansas. Like the hell? It's like
I think it was the Knoxville. Or so, I don't know.
I can't even remember.
But it's like, I'm
pretty sure it was. I can't remember whether he was was he from parts unknown at one point? He's been from everywhere because I'm pretty sure he was Death Valley, similar to the Undertaker.
Yeah.
And then he's been from parts unknown because obviously he's from Hell.
Yeah.
And all these other bits. It's like. And
you know what it is, Matt? Knoxville is hell on earth. That's what they're saying.
It's clearly.
Yeah.
But yeah, bigger fish to fry. Bye. Backstage segment of Corbin and Swagger. Meh. More of Swagger just all like, you had to, like, why are you going on to the brand that starts with an S when you have a lisp?
Okay.
But hey ho.
Yeah, I have to admit, when Corbin came up, I was going to be like, I tuned out a little bit.
So we've got Alexa Bliss versus Nikki Bella, because why not? I guess you got to keep Bliss going because obviously she's number one contender, and Nikki because it's Nikki.
Yeah.
There was one thing actually, because I watched this match with my other half.
Okay.
And she knows that Bliss runs funny.
She runs funny. I didn't catch this.
She has a lot. She's very much arms everywhere. But then apparently later on she was like that Becky Lynch does it as well. Like, and she almost runs like the T2000. I
think it's the fact, like, I was about to say that they're running down a ramp, but on SmackDown they don't have a ramp, so there's no excuse.
There is a ramp.
On SmackDown? I didn't think there was one.
Yeah, SmackDown has a ramp.
But they're running around, so they're constantly trying to stop themselves from falling, I guess. So maybe
but like Becky Lynch runs right at T2000. It's just like, the hell. Anyway. What did you reckon to this match? Because it's been a while since you've seen basically women's matches that haven't been,
Sasha or Charlotte,
Sasha, Bayley and Dana.
Yeah. I have to say, I think Alexa's improved.
This is probably a bad match to use as an example, though.
Yeah. I will say that. Yeah, it wasn't all that great. I think though, I when I say Alex is approved, this probably wasn't the best showing. But what I will say is that I could tell that she's a lot more sure of herself when she's in that ring.
Yeah,
like it came across like she's with Nikki Bella. Nikki Bella is quite a veteran at this point, especially when it comes to the women. And she was imposing herself pretty well, which I was quite happy with. You know,
Nikki Bella, what was it? The washed up Kardashian or something?
Yeah, that was it. Carmella at ringside said. One thing I thought was very strange though is that it's very funny. I think that Alexa Bliss is finally getting this big time pay-per-view title shot when she wasn't deemed good enough at NXT to have that.
That's quite true.
So, but I think she's worth it. I think
to be fair, there's like we're talking about, like, she's going to go face Becky Lynch, who wasn't good enough for the NXT Women's Championship either.
Yeah, I think they've both improved a lot since their NXT days.
Dramatically.
Yeah.
Yeah, but obviously, after throwing the washed-up Kardashian remark, Carmella gets herself involved, and they all start beating up on Nikki, and I'm like, oh, here we go. Becky's music hits, and fade to black for the advert, and I'm like, tag team match.
Yeah.
Fade.
I saw this going.
Yeah. Tag team match.
Yeah. Yeah. As soon as that happens, you know, when it fades to black and they're still in the ring and they're doing the fighting stunts, you know exactly where it's going.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I actually kind of forgot about this match, to be fair, because
I thought Becky Lynch. I think I think it was such a good point of putting the title on her because she seems just like the most capable all-round pro wrestler in the women's division.
Agreed. Although I'm still not a fan of her straight fire. Like, the fuck. Really?
Can I say, just in general, it was in this match that I just realised how little David Otunga actually adds to anything on this show.
David Otunga adds nothing. David Otunga is a waste of a fucking seat.
Yeah. I have no clue how they thought he was good enough to share a commentary.
There was a point, I forgot to mention this a couple of weeks back. Maybe I did, I can't remember, but it always haunts me now, because there was a match with the Usos. This is before they did their new get-up or anything like that. But in 3 separate occasions during the match, Otunga said, I spoke to their Hall of Fame father, Rikishi. That was it.
Yeah.
It's like, and what did he say? Oh, I spoke to him.
And offering absolutely nothing.
We had a conversation. Okay, what about? Just talking and stuff.
He just asked me how my garden's doing.
Yeah, just simple.
I think it's because I know I've said this before, but his tone always comes across as if he's bored. And I know that maybe not. It's just how he sounds. And like JBL is just obnoxious at the best of times. I feel so sorry for Mauro Ranallo. I really do on this commentary. Yeah. But there we are.
But yeah, no, it carries on. The tag team match is all right, I suppose.
Yeah. Not the best, but yeah.
Do you know what the thing is? There was one thing, because Nikki's in the ring. Becky tries coming to make a save, and she receives the super kick.
Mm-hmm.
The first time they showed that camera angle, it looked like there was at least a good foot between Carmella's foot and Becky.
Yeah.
But when they showed it from the other camera angle, I was like, oh, that did actually connect.
Yeah. I actually thought that myself. I thought she botched that a little bit, and then the second I was like, oh, wow, she actually connected.
Yeah.
It's
so bizarre. Just sort of like from one angle, it looks like a fuck up. But hey ho.
It's an optical illusion of a super kick, yeah.
But yeah, Bliss going into No Mercy, obviously gets some momentum going, picks up the win.
Pins the champ.
No. She pins Nikki.
Did she not pin? I thought she pinned. No, she didn't pin Becky.
Pinned Nikki.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Because Nikki gets speared by Carmella. Becky had been kicked. Yeah, she pins Nikki.
Okay, so I was. Because I initially thought
I'm saying that and she pins Nikki, and she doesn't, because I was like so set that it's like, no, she pinned Nikki. Pretty sure she pinned Nikki. And then like I see, and there's a video clip, and I'm like, oh, that is Becky in the ring. Shut up.
Yeah, because the reason why I remember it is because commentary were going, oh, if she does that this weekend, she'll win the championship.
Yeah, because obviously they have to.
Yeah.
In hindsight.
Yeah.
Hey ho.
For once, Matt, it's me correcting you for something that you got wrong. This doesn't happen very often. Normally it's me.
previously we'd had Wyatt wandering around backstage, just going on about like, "Oh, where are you, Randy? Come out, sort of thing." And then Wyatt finds a room with a rocking chair in it. This got a bit weird.
Yeah.
Like Orton closed the shutter and locked him in. And there's Wyatt's just like they set up like a hidden camera in the room, and there's Wyatt just like walls can't hold me and all things like that. I'm like, this is a bit interesting.
I actually liked Orton in this because he came across as a bit sadistic. You know, he's just like, or something like, "Oh, you know, you could pray or not," or something like that. You know, like, I actually quite liked Orton at this bit, but
yeah. Obviously, forgetting that it is like now October, so hey ho, here we come, pink ropes.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm led to believe on Raw, Enzo and Cass had to do this segment, but who's more over than Enzo and Cass? Daniel Bryan, and you don't need anyone else.
Yeah.
And there we go. Like, hey, aren't these women great? Aren't they heroes? Oh, aren't they champions? And they all get a belt. It's like, okay,
fair play to them.
Yeah, but come on.
Well, you don't want them to get title belts or something.
They don't deserve title belts. They got to fight for it.
But Matt, we used to buy it.
They got to challenge it. They got to challenge for it.
You want the Susan G. Komen tournament, Matt? Not after CWC, not everything could be a tournament.
Everything is settled by tournaments.
Can you imagine Daniel Bryan? It would be like, we've got this wonderful championship belt. Now fight each other.
Only one will survive. Tag team match. Here we go. The Vaudevillains, who don't get an entrance.
Yeah, they got the job at entrance. Yeah, I saw. Yeah.
Against the Hype Bros, and Mojo's decided he's now a dancer.
Yes.
A bit weird.
Mojo can decide he can be lots of things, but you can't be lots of them either. So
yeah. She kind of reminds me of like, I don't know if you're getting it in Ireland, but the Money Supermarket advert of like the guy who's dancing in the heels and the hot pants.
No, I haven't seen it. No. I get weird.
It's pretty much that.
Okay.
But anyway, the match is Blair. The Ascension turn up. Blair. The thing I loved is there's a guy in the crowd with a like rebirth, like resurrect the Ascension sign, and then they just stood there and just went meh, looking menacing. I'd have loved. Sorry, just quickly. If just the Ascension stormed the ring and just took them all out.
Yeah. That'd be a lot more fun, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Let's make them look like monsters again rather than jobbing road warriors.
You know what I thought was very funny about them coming out and just standing on like the stage is that I've been playing
face paint.
In a silly face paint, yeah. I've been playing WWE 2K16, and like a lot of the like building up of the rivalries in the career mode are really just poor. And like they'll give you an entire like loading screen for just people standing on stage. That's all I thought of when they came out standing still on stage. I was like, they're so generically bad, but they are.
Just they're there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hype Rider win. Hype Bros bit win.
Yeah.
Woo. Now, this was probably, by the scenes of it, one of your favourite segments of SmackDown.
I think you're getting to, the IT one, yeah.
The documentary.
Yes.
Which the production value on it was fucking beautiful.
That video
24
package.
video package, yeah.
Was it the failure of Dolph Ziggler or something?
The success of the failure, yeah.
Yeah. That was brilliant. That was absolutely fantastic.
But yeah, no. That video package was splendid. And then this was another one of those moments. This is Ziggler who can be Ziggler. Like when he gets a mic and he can cut a promo, he can be good.
This was when I was watching SmackDown, and I was like, it seems like fairly cookie cutter from here on out. Like, some interesting bits here and there. This like blew my mind. I was like,
this is interesting. The past few weeks, Miz has always been on the halfway mark. Like for the past couple of weeks, the IC Miz and Ziggler has been the halfway mark of the show.
Oh, yeah, so like, yeah.
It's always been on the 1 hour mark. And it's quite interesting. I find it's like, I mean, yeah, it's over, and it's actually really good. And it's probably just like, don't go anywhere because it's going to get heated again.
One bit I loved about this is like, it's not just the Ziggler being really good, and he is really good because he's really selling over the facts. It's the Miz's like deadpan response to what he's saying. He's like, I'm not done, and Miz just like deadpanning, going, yes, you are. Like, just like completely like assures. I
don't give a fuck, man. You're done. Like after Sunday, you are no more.
Yeah.
Although the one thing that really could have been left out was the 2 remaining members of the Spirit Squad.
That was a little bit. When I came out, was a little bit like.
I liked it, and then they did the "Gimme the D" bit, and I'm just like, they spelled out Dolph, and it's just awful.
I couldn't be the only person that laughed when they said "Give me a D." I was like,
"Give me the D." It's like,
Yeah, I tell you what though, it was funny because it was the 2 of them. It was Kenny Dykstra and I think like Mickey,
the podgy guy.
Yeah, Mickey was like the podgy guy. He clearly hasn't been keeping himself. Kenny Dykstra looks like he could probably still wrestle. Like he looks like a great shape. So
he probably still goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I quite enjoyed that. Like that bit got a bit old very quickly, but it was good, especially when they just attack Ziggler. But obviously he fights out and sort of standing tall leading up to No Mercy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this is what I've been going on about recently, which is just sort of like Ziggler's been good.
Yeah.
And The Miz has been good as well. Like as much as he's like, I'm bringing some credential back to the IC title, and it's like, he kind of is.
Like this promo easily outbeats anything I've had in the last 6 weeks on Raw. Easily.
Yeah.
There's not even any argument. Like it just is. So, and it really got me like, because I've already seen the Miz wrestle Dolph Ziggler. It happened at the last event. So ordinarily I wouldn't be interested in the match, but just seeing that this promo, I'm like, I really want to see what's going on. I want to see where this goes. Like
that's it. And No Mercy is tomorrow as we record.
As we begin our predictions at the end of this. Yeah.
Yeah. Next match. Jey Uso versus Jason Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel really bad for you because you were like, yeah, I'm going to get back and I'm going to watch American Alpha, and it's a very quick match of nothing.
Yeah, you barely got anything of them. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame.
But it's, unfortunately, American Alpha were being used to further push for Sunday.
Yeah. I'm actually a little bit worried with this.
Something is happening. No. Okay, go on.
I know that you said it beforehand, and that they're going to build it. And I agree with you with the whole American Alpha that eventually they'll have a story that comes good for them. But it's one of those things that I'm just worried that if they just keep them as a second string for too long, maybe fans will just end up giving up on them a little bit.
Yeah,
that's all I'm worried about here.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
Yeah,
but I mean, currently it is what it is, and it does suck a bit.
Yeah.
But before they can do any lasting damage to Jordan, out comes the Beauty and the Man Beast.
Mm-hmm.
And the Usos ran off. So you probably barely heard it. Usos' new music, did you hear any of it?
Yeah, a little bit of it, because they both from base have jobber entrances on this match. So
yeah,
but I did see it, and I'm not as big of a fan of it.
Yeah,
honestly. I mean, I still like their heel turn though. Overall, I still like it, and I think they settled into the heel turn so well.
Yeah, easily. Yeah. It was it was meant to be.
Yeah.
I think it was actually before that match we had another Bray Wyatt moment where he's just on his own and he's talking to Sister Abigail, and the last thing we see before the camera cuts out is, "I'm ready to go home."
Yeah.
And at that point, Randy Orton's opens the shutter and Wyatt's missing.
Because he has Undertaker powers. He
has Undertaker powers and can just disappear. And Orton obviously gets a bit agitated.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this was interesting. The main event. The final match of the card, at least.
Yeah.
Swagger versus Corbin. And I will be brutally honest, I didn't watch this match.
You didn't watch it?
I couldn't care for it.
I thought it was okay. Nothing to go scream home about, but I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
I think the I can barely remember the finish of it now.
The finish of it was the ankle lock.
Oh, that's it. And they were saying that he tapped out
for the ropes, and apparently he tapped out.
Yeah, basically he was like banging to try and get to the ropes, and they perceived that as a tap out. Which there's worse fuck finishes. You know what I mean? Like, I guess if they want to continue the rivalry, but I just wonder how many people are really involved in it, because I wasn't that interested in Swagger and Corbin personally.
Yeah, I didn't watch the match.
But
Moving on to what was probably my favourite part of the night. The Styles, Ambrose, and Cena face to face.
This was, in my opinion, the best way to end this show.
Yeah.
Like, this was so good.
What was it? The bug that runs the club and all that lot. Oh, that was great. Obviously, Styles is doing his usual shtick, and Ambrose comes out and he interrupts him. And then Cena comes out and interrupts a lot of them, but before Cena can even say a word, Styles is like, "You shut up."
Yeah.
You're not as good as Ric Flair. How dare you even compare yourself to Ric Flair? I'm not going to let you be as good as Ric Flair. Just shut the fuck up. I know exactly what you're going to say. He just like wanders off, and Cena's like, "Well, no. You shut the hell up." In comes Ambrose, and I love it. Just tears into him with his like hustle, loyalty, respect thing. Oh, it's just great.
I was really impressed with Ambrose here, and the reason being is because, like, they showed the footage of John Cena basically ripping him to shreds on Talking Smack, and I honestly thought that there was no way that Ambrose could come back at him, but Ambrose did, and it was just as scathing. And I was like, this is the best promo work I've seen from him in God knows how long. This is really, really good. Even Styles, obviously his strength is his in-ring work, but his promo was fantastic as well. So,
this was a great promo. I loved it.
Yeah.
And obviously they've had the moment Cena just has like the final opportunity after Ambrose has got right up in his face. It's like, talk is cheap. Bang! And just straight up attacks Ambrose. But yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Pardon me. Because Ambrose closes on the high. Cena, like, obviously hits all his AAs, and Styles hits a phenomenal forearm, and they were like, "Yeah, my championship, my belt." And then Ambrose out of nowhere just blindsides him on the ramp. Yeah. And hits him where Dirty Deeds. It's like, ooh. And I love it, because it's that proper, what's it going to be? What's second guessing and all that lot? And I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. I tell you what, part of the reason why I like this SmackDown in general, and my review for it is a watch it once. I think it easily deserves that. Yeah. The reason why I liked it is because obviously I don't watch SmackDown ordinarily. After I watch SmackDown, when I finish an episode of Raw, I'm exhausted. You know, I'm genuinely, I feel exhausted. And to the fact that I don't want to watch any other wrestling. I don't want to do any other notes. I just stop wrestling in general. As I was watching SmackDown, I was like, you know what? That was pretty good. I might go watch NXT. You know what I mean? I didn't feel exhausted. I didn't feel drained. I didn't feel like wrestling was the last thing that I wanted to think of. Now, obviously, some of that is down to the fact that you've got an hour knocked off of the show, and it's far more easily digestible. But it just also, I think the show ended fantastically with that promo. So it made you want more. You know, it made you want to it sold No Mercy in a way that Raw never seemed to be able to do for Clash of Champions. So, what's your overall review for it?
Definitely gonna give it a watch.
Yeah,
but I probably wouldn't come back for it.
No, I don't think there was good enough matches to warrant a second watch. But those promos are definitely worth your time, I reckon. You know, and I thought it was a good go home show, personally. Maybe I would look at it a lot more favorably than usual because I'm watching it as a new watcher to SmackDown. You know, as I'm not going to be watching it often. So, but still on that front. Are we right then? All right. So we should probably get our predictions done because we're running out of time anyway. Then we can get the hell out of here and all that stuff. So, all right then, Matt. So you're obviously a SmackDown watcher.
Mm-hmm.
You would have a much better idea of where you think this is going to go.
Yeah.
But let's go through the show. So the pre-show, Jack Swagger versus Baron Corbin again. Who do you think's winning this match?
I think it's going to go no contest, and I think Corbin's just going to attack him.
Okay, I think Corbin will win, and that will set up a rubber match. But that's just I'm going by WWE standards.
Either or, yeah.
Kurt Hawkins, who we didn't talk about, he's making his re-debut.
Oh God, yeah. Now you see what I'm having to deal with.
Yeah, it's awful. That's really bad. I have no clue why they thought that would work. He hasn't got the charisma to get something like that over. It's just stupid. But anyway, Kurt Hawkins versus TBD. Obviously, Kurt Hawkins. What's the point in re-debuting if he's going to lose straight away?
Yeah.
So, you're going with Kurt Hawkins as well, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nikki Bella versus Carmella.
Meh.
I'm going with Nikki Bella. Yeah. Because she's been dicked over so much over the course of this match. She's got to get a win back somewhere. Unless she is really just doing the honours of just jobbing to everyone on her last run. But I have to think it's Nikki. Are you going Nikki?
Mm-hmm.
Nikki. Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt.
Wyatt.
This one. Going to go Wyatt. Okay. Both men need a win. That's the unfortunate thing with this, isn't it?
That's true.
I'm going to go Orton. I'll go Orton for now. Miz versus Dolph Ziggler. This is a IC title match, but if Ziggler loses, he must retire. Obviously, with the rumours that Ziggler would be walking out after his
and I'm
contract expires. Yeah, I'm going Miz as well. I think this is Ziggler's going away. He might even have one more episode on SmackDown just to say proper goodbye. But yeah, I'm going with Miz as well. Heath Slater and Rhino versus the Usos for the tag team championships.
Slater and Rhino.
Slater and Rhino. I'm going to go with Usos.
Fair enough.
I think Usos to set up that American Alpha.
I think it's too early for Slater and Rhino to lose the belts.
Okay, that's fine. I think part of them winning the belts was so they could have Slater win a contract. So I'm going to go with Usos.
Fair enough.
That's just mine. Anyway, Becky Lynch versus Alexa Bliss.
Lynch.
Yeah, I'll go Lynch. You can't. I like Bliss, but I think that it's. I think she's been put in this situation because she's a good stopgap until they can get someone that they might be more interested in winning the championship. Yeah. But I actually think this could be a really good match, Lynch and Bliss.
It could be.
For two women that never got their takeover moment, maybe they could steal the show here on the main roster. Who knows? Main event: AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, and John Cena for the WWE World Championship. Who is walking out with this belt? Styles. You reckon Styles will walk out? Yeah, I think Styles to retain by pinning Dean Ambrose again.
Yeah,
that's how I see it going down.
Remind me of the greatest bit. It was sort of like of the main event promo, where it's just sort of like you just play the game, like you just work how it is that way. That's how you're even in this match. Like basically just the whole title was just sort of like it doesn't matter. Like it's just you can just do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's it.
Play that game.
And I thought Ambrose's promo was fantastic. I really did. It almost redeemed him a little bit to me because I'd been so off Dean Ambrose towards the end of Raw. Like he was going nowhere as champion. It seemed like so. Yeah, that was really, really good. So, yeah, that's our predictions for the show. I'm actually really interested for No Mercy. I'm actually glad that I watched the Go Home show because otherwise I probably would have been looking at this card, man, and being a little bit like, I don't know. But some of the shows, like that promo with Ziggler and Miz, sold me on that match. It really did. And that main event promo sold me on the main event as well. Now, there's obviously some matches I'm not interested in. Kurt Hawkins being one. Nikki Bella and Carmella, not really. But it looks like a decent card, I have to say. It looks all right.
Yeah, there's a couple out there.
Yeah. I do think it would be a good show because, the last event was like Backlash was much better than Clash of Champions. So maybe one of those things that SmackDown is just on a roll at the moment. So
is the next Raw one Hell in a Cell?
It is Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it?
And I do expect that show might not do as well as what people think it will. So we'll get to that as we go. And as I go back and watch Raw, unfortunately, but there we are. All right, then, guys, that's the end of the show. If you do want to interact with us, the main way of doing so is our Facebook page, facebook.com/letstalkwrestlingpodcast. If you want to send us any tweets, you could do so on the Twitter handle.
@TalkWrestlePod.
You can. And of course, you can send us any private questions or audio, or private messages and audio questions to our Gmail account, which is letstalkwrestlingpodcast@gmail.com. Or you can leave any questions in that comment section below. If you're new to the channel, you can subscribe, and that way you can become one of our almost 700 subscribers. Episode 150 is coming soon. Myself and Matt are still talking about things to do. We've got some plans. Anyway, the intro in the background will change as usual, so a little bit of a fresh coat of paint. And of course, we will talk next week about No Mercy. So there's plenty of stuff to talk about in this episode. And let me know what you thought about the article. If you'd like to see more stuff like that done every so often, for maybe some of the mid-monthers, maybe there's a mid-month. Matt gets a little bit burnt out of SmackDown. He can do something involving SmackDown, maybe something along those lines. Let us know what you think.
Discuss about SmackDown.
SmackDown's doing pretty well. I kind of hate you a little bit for it, but there we are. It is doing quite well. All right then, guys. I hope you have a great week, and we'll catch you next time.
I'll catch you soon.
Bye-bye.